Welcome to Medical Facts.
First on list, salmon. Salmon is not just good for you. For diabetics, it's food that literally interacts with insulin, inflammation, nerves, blood vessels, mitochondria, and gut bacteria, all the areas diabetes damages. Every forkful acts like a biochemical repair signal. Let's explore how and why this fish deserves a permanent spot on your plate. Start with the basics. Salmon contains 0 carbohydrates. That means it contributes nothing to your blood sugar load. 0 grams of sugar, 0 grams of starch, 0 glycemic effect. Even lean meats can vary based on how they're cooked or what sauces they're paired with. But salmon, when grilled, baked, or poached, is clean and glycemic neutral. And that's just the beginning. That same 3-ounce cooked serving gives you 22 to 25 grams of complete protein, which is 44 to 50% of your daily value, DV. Protein isn't just for muscle. It's essential for blood sugar regulation. It slows the digestion of any carbs you eat with it, reduces post-meal glucose spikes, and supports glucagon production. Glucagon is a hormone that keeps your blood sugar from dropping too low, a huge concern for diabetics on medication or insulin. Salmon's omega-3s help your cells respond to insulin better by boosting something called glucose transporter type 4, GLUT4, a protein that acts like a little door on your muscle cells. When this door opens, sugar from your blood can enter your muscles to be used as energy. In diabetes, that door often gets stuck, but omega-3s from salmon help unlock it more easily, so your body doesn't have to shout with extra insulin just to get sugar where it needs to go. The real miracle of salmon lies in its omega-3 fatty acid content, especially EPA, eicosapentaenoic acid, and DHA, docosahexaenoic acid. These are not regular fats, these are bioactive lipids, fats that change how your cells behave. EPA and DHA lower insulin resistance, reduce triglycerides, increase HDL cholesterol, and decrease inflammation on a cellular level. They lower your levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, a key marker of chronic inflammation that is often high in diabetics. That inflammation is what leads to complications, nerve damage, heart disease, kidney failure. And omega-3s shut that process down. Let's go microscopic for a second. Inside every one of your cells is a structure called a mitochondrion. Think of it as a battery that powers your body. In people with diabetes, mitochondrial function often declines. This means less energy, more fatigue, and worse insulin resistance. Omega-3s in salmon repair mitochondrial membranes, helping your cells produce more clean energy and respond better to insulin. That's why people who eat fatty fish regularly often report higher energy, better focus, and lower A1C levels. And we haven't even gotten to how salmon protects your cardiovascular system. Diabetes is a vascular disease. High glucose damages the endothelium, the inner lining of your blood vessels. This leads to atherosclerosis, plaque buildup, stiff arteries, and poor circulation. EPA in salmon helps repair this lining, improves nitric oxide production, which relaxes your arteries, and reduces blood pressure. DHA, on the other hand, strengthens cellular membranes, making them more fluid and receptive to insulin and nutrient exchange. Together, they lower triglycerides by up to 30%, raise HDL, good cholesterol, by 10%, and help prevent blood clots. Let's move to another critical area, nerve protection. Diabetic neuropathy is one of the most painful and life-altering complications of diabetes. High blood sugar damages the tiny blood vessels that supply oxygen to your nerves. DHA, the dominant fat in your brain and nervous system, is required to build and repair the myelin sheath, a protective layer around your nerves. Without enough DHA, nerve signals get disrupted, leading to pain, numbness, burning, or loss of feeling, especially in the hands and feet. When you eat DHA-rich salmon, you're literally giving your nerves the building blocks they need to regenerate. Now let's look at vitamin B12, which salmon delivers in rich amounts, 2.4 to 4.8 micrograms per 3 ounces, providing 100 to 200% of your daily value. B12 is critical for nerve health and red blood cell production, and many diabetics, especially those on metformin, are at risk of deficiency. Metformin depletes B12 over time, and this leads to neuropathy, fatigue, even memory loss. Eating salmon helps refill those stores and protect your nervous system from damage. Let's talk about vitamin D, another nutrient salmon delivers naturally. One serving of salmon provides 570 to 800 IU of vitamin D, covering 70 to 100% of your daily needs. Why does that matter? Because over 80% of diabetics are deficient in vitamin D, and that deficiency is strongly linked to poor insulin production, higher inflammation, low immunity, and even depression. Vitamin D helps your pancreas release insulin properly and improves your body's response to it, making salmon one of the few natural food sources that supports both insulin production and insulin action. And then there's selenium, a trace mineral your body uses to make glutathione, your master antioxidant. One serving of salmon provides 45 to 70% of your daily value for selenium. Glutathione is essential for neutralizing the oxidative stress caused by high blood sugar. Without it, your cells are under constant attack, leading to faster aging, tissue damage, and increased risk of complications. Salmon also supplies potassium, about 8 to 10% of your DV per serving. This helps balance sodium, reduce fluid retention, and ease pressure on your kidneys. Speaking of kidneys, the omega-3s in salmon help reduce proteinuria, the leakage of protein in the urine that signals kidney damage. They also lower inflammation in the kidney's filtration system and help preserve function, slowing the progression toward dialysis. Salmon also supports your eyes, especially against diabetic retinopathy, the leading cause of blindness in adults with diabetes. DHA is a structural component of the retina, and eating salmon helps preserve vision, reduce retinal inflammation, and protect the small blood vessels that nourish your eyes. By the way, while you're watching, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching this video? Just drop your country or your city in the comments below. It's always incredible to see how far this diabetic healthcare community is reaching. Here's what almost no one talks about: gut health. The gut is deeply connected to insulin sensitivity. When your gut lining becomes inflamed or leaky, a condition called intestinal permeability, harmful bacteria and toxins escape into your bloodstream and trigger immune responses that worsen insulin resistance. Salmon's omega-3s help seal the gut barrier and promote the growth of beneficial bacteria like Akkermansia mucinifila, which has been directly linked to improved glucose metabolism, better gut, better sugar control. It's that simple. And finally, astaxanthin, red pigment in wild-caught salmon, is one of the strongest antioxidants on Earth. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and protects your brain, eyes, skin, and heart from oxidative damage. It's anti-aging, anti-inflammatory, and even shown to support endurance and reduce muscle fatigue. So what does this mean for you? Salmon isn't just a safe food for diabetics. It's a food that works on every level of diabetic pathology. Myth. It's fish, so it must be full of mercury. I should avoid it. It's true that some large, long-living fish, like swordfish or king mackerel, have high levels of mercury. But salmon, especially wild-caught or sockeye, has very low mercury levels. Average mercury concentration in fresh and frozen salmon is 0.022 parts per million, ppm, and is among the safest seafood choices for regular consumption. Why? Because salmon is a short-lived, cold-water fish, which doesn't accumulate heavy metals the way bigger fish do. And the nutrients in salmon, especially selenium, help the body naturally detox from any trace metals that may be present. Salmon is a powerhouse for diabetics, but like all things, how you eat it matters. First, avoid deep frying or cooking it with sugary glazes like teriyaki or honey sauces. That instantly turns a zero-carb healing food into a blood sugar bomb. Stick to grilled, baked, or poached methods with herbs, lemon, garlic, or turmeric to keep it anti-inflammatory and blood sugar friendly. If you're choosing canned salmon, check the label for sodium. Some versions are packed with salt. Too much can raise blood pressure, especially if you already have diabetic kidney concerns. Go for low sodium or no salt added options when possible. Also, be mindful of portion sizes. A healthy serving is about 3 to 4 ounces, roughly the size of your palm. Eating large portions can push your calorie intake higher than you realize, especially if you're pairing it with other calorie-dense sides. If you're pregnant, nursing, or have a known fish allergy, always consult your doctor. And while mercury levels in salmon are low, it's still smart to vary your seafood choices if you eat fish daily. Try rotating in sardines or mackerel once in a while to keep things balanced. And finally, avoid farm-raised salmon when possible, especially from low regulation regions. It can contain lower omega-3s, more unhealthy omega-6 fats, and may be treated with dyes or antibiotics. Wild-caught salmon or sustainably farmed options, like Norwegian or Alaskan varieties, are safer, cleaner, and more nutritious. Salmon is powerful. There's another fish that's just as healing, maybe even more in some ways. It's smaller, less popular, packed with diabetic benefits. Let's talk about it. Second on list, sardines. They're tiny, they come in a can, and most people overlook them or walk right past them in the grocery aisle. But sardines are one of the most powerful metabolic tools a diabetic can use, because inside that simple tin lies a healing equation that supports nearly every system diabetes attacks. Your insulin response, your nerve fibers, your blood vessels, your mitochondria, and even the microbial balance of your gut. Sardines don't just fit in a diabetic diet, they intervene in the disease process, slowing down the damage and restoring function from the inside out. Start with the blood sugar story. Sardines contain less than 0.5 grams of carbs per serving, which means their glycemic load is essentially zero. That's the easy part. But what makes them different is that they actually help improve the way your cells absorb and use sugar, and that happens through the omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA. These aren't just heart-healthy fats. These are signaling molecules, biochemical messengers that go deep into your cell membranes and change how your insulin receptors behave. They make the insulin receptors more sensitive. They improve communication between insulin and your glucose transporters, especially GLUT4, the protein that shuttles sugar into your muscle and fat cells. Without this function, sugar remains trapped in the bloodstream where it becomes toxic. In insulin resistance, GLUT4 activity is impaired. Think of your cells like a house and GLUT4 like the door. The insulin hormone is the key. But in diabetes, that key doesn't fit well anymore. The door sticks, the lock resists, and the sugar piles up outside, causing damage. But omega-3s from sardines help restore the lock, oil the hinges, and make that glucose door swing open more easily, without your pancreas having to pump out more and more insulin to force it. That's not just blood sugar control, that's metabolic reprogramming. But omega-3s don't stop at glucose transport. They also alter gene expression related to inflammation, insulin resistance, and fat metabolism. They downregulate nuclear factor kappa B and FKB, one of the key genetic switches that triggers inflammatory cascades in response to oxidative stress and high blood sugar. They reduce the production of cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, which block insulin activity and cause systemic damage over time. In short, they go into your DNA-level control centers and switch off the diabetic damage process. That's the kind of intervention no pill can do, and sardines do it naturally. Let's go microscopic. Inside each of your trillions of cells are mitochondria, the energy engines that convert oxygen and nutrients into usable energy, ATP. In diabetics, mitochondrial function often declines. Cells become less efficient, more fatigued, and more prone to damage. Sardines contain not just omega-3s to repair the mitochondrial membrane, but also coenzyme Q10, CoQ10, very molecule mitochondria used to produce ATP. CoQ10 acts like a spark plug in your cellular engine. Without enough of it, your cells sputter. You feel tired, your brain slows, your heart struggles. But sardines deliver CoQ10 in its natural bioactive form, restoring mitochondrial function and energy metabolism from within. But the healing doesn't stop at your cells. Sardines are also an anatomical defense system because they contain high concentrations of calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and vitamin D in forms that the body uses synergistically. This is rare in food. Most supplements give you one isolated mineral. Sardines give you the entire mineral matrix in a biologically balanced form. And that has massive consequences for diabetics, especially those dealing with early bone loss, poor wound healing, insulin signaling issues, or calcification of the arteries. Bones in sardines are soft, fully edible, and packed with over 300 milligrams of calcium per can, along with around 250 international units of vitamin D, 300 milligrams of phosphorus, and small amounts of magnesium and potassium. This combination doesn't just support skeletal strength, it improves calcium signaling within cells, which directly affects insulin release from the pancreas, muscle contraction, and even nerve impulse transmission. Sardines literally rebuild the electrochemical integrity of your body's communication system. And then there's vitamin B12. Sardines are one of the richest dietary sources of it, offering over 300% of your daily needs per can. B12 is essential for diabetics because metformin, the most common type 2 diabetes medication, depletes it over time. Low B12 causes fatigue, neuropathy, brain fog, and mood changes. But B12 is also essential for myelin sheath regeneration, the insulation that wraps around your nerves. If you're dealing with tingling, numbness, or pain in your hands and feet, you might not just have high sugar, you might have a B12-starved nervous system. Sardines can help reverse that. Selenium is another hidden gem here. Sardines contain around 35 to 45 micrograms per can, covering over half your daily needs. Selenium is the required cofactor for glutathione peroxidase, one of your body's master antioxidant enzymes. In the high oxidative environment of diabetes, glutathione is constantly being burned up. Without selenium, you can't replenish it. Without glutathione, your kidneys, pancreas, liver, and retina become vulnerable to damage. Sardines quietly close that gap. And let's talk about the gut, an organ system increasingly recognized as a control center for diabetes. Sardines, through their omega-3 content, help repair the intestinal barrier, protecting against leaky gut, which occurs when inflammatory molecules pass through the gut wall and enter the bloodstream. This creates systemic inflammation and worsens insulin resistance. Sardines also feed beneficial bacteria like Akkermansia mucinifila, which are strongly associated with improved blood sugar control, fat burning, and reduced inflammation. A healthy gut can literally shift your entire hormonal balance, and sardines support that transformation. And if all of that weren't enough, sardines are one of the cleanest, safest fish to eat regularly. They're low on the food chain, reproduce quickly, and don't accumulate mercury the way larger fish do. In fact, the average mercury content in sardines is about 0.013 parts per million, one of the lowest of any ocean fish. That makes them safe for regular consumption, even in pregnancy, and highly sustainable for the planet. Of course, the preparation matters. Skip sardines packed in soybean oil or sugary tomato sauces. Choose those packed in extra virgin olive oil, spring water, or with clean flavorings like lemon or herbs. If sodium is a concern, rinse them before eating to remove up to 30% of the salt content. Pair them with low glycemic vegetables or healthy fats, like avocado, olives, or roasted greens, for a complete healing meal. Myth: they're smelly, oily, or gross. Truth: the smell is from the omega-3 oils, which are what your body needs most. You can easily mask it with lemon, herbs, mustard, or avocado, and most people find that once they start eating sardines regularly, they actually begin to crave them. And if you've been put off by the smell or texture, remember this: sardines are not about appearance. They're about function. They stabilize blood sugar, support mitochondrial energy, repair nerves, calm inflammation, rebuild tissue, and protect against diabetic complications from the inside out. They are medicine you can chew. Food that knows how to speak to your body in a language your cells remember. Final thought: when it comes to managing diabetes, it's not just about avoiding the wrong foods. It's about embracing the ones that help your body heal. These two humble fish aren't just protein. They're precision nutrition. They work quietly, deeply, and consistently to restore what diabetes tries to take away: your energy, your nerve function, your insulin response, your long-term health. And the best part? They're real food. No prescription, no side effects. Just the right signals delivered to the right systems at the right time. If you've been searching for food that truly works with your body, not against it, you've just found two of the strongest allies in your diabetic journey. So now I want to hear from you. Have you used either of these two fish in your weekly routine? And if not, what stopped you until now? Share your experience in the comments below. And if this video gave you a fresh perspective, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who